Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the program. It's Thursday, September 10th, coming to you live from our studio in Seoul. I'm Kim Mo-kyun. Before we get started, these are the stories we're following at the top of the hour. President Moon Jae-in will chair an Emergency Economic Council session this morning to discuss the specifics of the government's fourth COVID-19 extra budget, estimated to be roughly $6 billion. At the virtual ASEAN Plus 3 summit Wednesday, South Korea's Foreign Minister Kang Kyung-hwa stressed the need to resume denuclearization talks between the two Koreas and the U.S. And COVID-19 continues its grip on the world, with 1 out of 3 of the total 900,000 global deaths coming from Latin America. The massive number of newly confirmed cases in Russia and the UAE is also concerning. We start with what promises to be a big day in domestic politics. President Moon Jae-in will chair an Emergency Economic Council session in the coming hour to discuss the specifics of the government's fourth extra budget. Plans to distribute emergency relief funds to those most affected are also set to be finalized. Following the session, the cabinet will vote on the budget proposal before submitting it to the National Assembly. The government hopes this budget, set to be worth roughly $6 billion, can be implemented before the Chuseok holiday, which begins in late September. South Korea reported 155 new COVID-19 cases Thursday, staying below the 200 mark for the 8th consecutive day. Of them, 141 were locally transmitted and 14 were imported from overseas, bringing the total number of infected to over 21,700. 2 more deaths have been reported, raising the death toll to 346. Though the new daily cases have shown a downward trend lately, health authorities still stress the need for strict social distancing as the figure remains in the triple digits and sporadic cluster infections continue. Another grim milestone has been reached in the pandemic gripping the world. The number of confirmed COVID-19 deaths in Latin America has topped 300,000. Concerning developments are unfolding in Russia and the UAE as well. Both are seeing daily infections on the rise again. Our Kim Jae-hee has a wrap-up.
The COVID-19 pandemic has now claimed more than 300,000 lives in Latin America. According to Worldometer, as of early Thursday Korea time, 1 out of 3 of the 900,000 global deaths from COVID-19 were from Latin America, which accounts for just 8% of the world's population. Brazil has the largest death toll in Latin America, with some 128,000 deaths. Mexico is next, followed by Peru and Colombia. The number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in Latin America is about 7.9 million. While major Latin American countries are still adding a significant number of cases each day, the pace of infection is slowing slightly. Infection rates in Brazil and Mexico are gradually stabilizing, and Peru and Colombia, which saw their respective situations worsen in August, seem to be on the road to a gradual recovery. However, concerns are growing in Russia. Newly confirmed cases there have exceeded 5,000 for 6 days in a row since September 4th. Daily infections are ticking up after staying below 5,000 for 19 straight days from mid-August. The total caseload in Russia now exceeds 1 million, and deaths amount to more than 18,000. Daily infections in the United Arab Emirates have also risen in recent weeks. On Wednesday, the UAE reported its highest daily increase in over 3 months. Cases jumped by 883 from the previous day, raising the UAE's total to nearly 76,000 cases. Health authorities in the UAE say 1 infected person failed to follow the nation's quarantine guidelines, resulting in 45 infections, including 1 death. The health authorities in the UAE are urging the public to strictly abide by quarantine rules, warning that COVID-19 may be spreading again rapidly. Kim Jae-hee, Arirang News.
AstraZeneca has paused all clinical trials of the COVID-19 vaccine it's developing after a participant in the UK section had a serious adverse reaction. The UK drug maker joined 8 other companies in signing a pledge promising they would not seek premature government approval for any vaccine. Kim Do-yeon has the story.
Pharmaceutical company AstraZeneca halted phase 3 of its COVID-19 vaccine trials on Tuesday after discovering that one of the participants fell seriously ill in the process. The company said that this is a routine measure in countering an unexplained illness among the participants. The news comes while the company's vaccine, Oxford, is regarded as one of the strongest contenders to win the race and become the first vaccine on the market.
Such a safety event may be detected in the phase 3. Once more people are being given the vaccine, it may be a rare event detected at the late stage of the vaccine development. It's hard to say when the study may be able to get resumed. It will depend on the evaluation of the event by the sponsor as well as by the Independent Data Safety Monitoring Board to give their recommendation whether or not the study can resume.
Details of the symptoms are yet to be released, but according to US-based media outlet Stat News, who first broke the story, the individual will recover. The person who fell ill is from the UK, but the decision to bring research to a halt has impacted the company's trials all across the world. In the US alone, the target number of participants for Phase 3 is 30,000 across 80 sites. While it wasn't clear which steps were taken in response to the trials being put on the hold, the recruitment process usually stops with such a decision. This comes with AstraZeneca being one of the 9 prominent pharmaceutical companies worldwide that on Tuesday local time signed a pledge to adhere to high standards of COVID-19 vaccine development. The pledge had 4 specific points: to make the safety and well-being of vaccinated individuals the top priority, to adhere to high scientific and ethical standards, only submit for approval or emergency use authorization after successful Phase 3 tests, and ensure of a sufficient supply and range of vaccine options. Other signatories include Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, and Moderna. Together, they call this a historic pledge that would free them from the political pressure they are under in the race to the first COVID-19 vaccine. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
The safety of a COVID-19 vaccine comes first and foremost. These are the words from a World Health Organization chief scientist who on Wednesday said testing drugs and vaccines for safety should be a top priority. Dr. Soma Swaminathan also added that developing a vaccine quickly does not mean cutting corners or compromising concerns on what would be normally assessed. Her comments came after British drug maker AstraZeneca put its vaccine trial on hold due to an unexplained illness in a study participant. A U.S. top health official said UK drug maker AstraZeneca's decision to pause a COVID-19 vaccine study due to a serious adverse reaction in a trial participant shows the safety of vaccines will not be compromised. U.S. National Institutes of Health Director Francis Collins told a U.S. Senate committee Wednesday that if the company finds the spinal cord problem in the patient is related to the vaccine, all the doses are already manufactured will be destroyed. AstraZeneca is taking part in the U.S. government's Operation Warp Speed program to accelerate the development of a vaccine. The U.S. National Institutes of Health is providing funding for the company's vaccine trial. South Korea's Foreign Minister Kang Kyung-hwa has urged for the prompt resumption of talks for the complete denuclearization and lasting peace on the Korean Peninsula. During the virtual ASEAN +3 meeting, Kang said talks between Seoul, Pyongyang, and Washington should be resumed at the earliest possible date. She added that the South Korean government remains committed to its stance on resolving the issue through dialogue. Kang also urged the ASEAN region to adopt a fast-track entry system to facilitate essential trips amid the COVID-19 pandemic while working together on vaccine development. Seoul's Vice Foreign Minister is stressing the Seoul-Washington alliance continues to provide the basis for South Korea's diplomacy and security. But he noted the country also has close economic relations with China. Speaking to reporters upon arriving in Washington on Wednesday, Choi Jong-gun explained that Seoul will listen to the vision and roadmap suggested by Washington and offer its views. During his trip, which comes less than a month since he was appointed Vice Foreign Minister, Choi will sit with his American counterpart, Stephen Biegun. Now, with only days ahead of the scheduled release of Bob Woodward's new book about U.S. President Donald Trump titled Rage, more letters that were exchanged between Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un have been disclosed. Our Kim Hyo-sun has the story.
More detailed anecdotes related to President Trump have been revealed ahead of the scheduled release of Bob Woodward's new book. According to CNN and Washington Post, President Trump reportedly described North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's relationship with the regime's nuclear program as, quote, somebody that's in love with a house and they just cannot sell it. Their friendship was also apparent in a series of letters they exchanged, in which Kim started off by calling Trump Your Excellency. Woodward has reportedly secured 27 letters, out of which only 2 have been made public. The North's leader also expressed his intent to sit down for another meeting between the two, which is described as a, quote, reminiscent of a scene from a fantasy film. Kim also called his summit with Trump as a precious memory, adding that the deep and special friendship between the two will work as a magical force going forward. While the exact time of the exchange of letters was not stipulated, it's assumed to be between the first and second summits they had in Singapore and Hanoi, respectively. Woodward also explains that Trump also boasted that Kim tells him everything, even the way Kim had his uncle, Chang Song-taek, executed. Kim Hyo-sun, Arirang News.
The U.S. commander in the Middle East says the number of American troops stationed in Iraq will be slashed this month from the current 5,200 to 3,000. The number of U.S. soldiers in Afghanistan will also be significantly lowered. Our Lee Seung-jae reports.
General Frank McKenzie, the commander of the U.S. Central Command, says Washington will pull 2,200 American troops out of Iraq in September, leaving just 3,000 in the country. The general said the decision came as Washington has confidence in the Iraqi security forces' increased ability to operate independently. The decision has long been expected as President Trump looks to make good on his 2016 campaign pledge ahead of the November 3rd election. The Pentagon advised the president that roughly 3,000 troops should remain to assist the Iraqi government in its fight against the Islamic State group. According to a senior Trump administration official on Tuesday, the U.S. is also expected to announce a further troop withdrawal in the coming days, this time from Afghanistan. According to CNN, the Trump administration plans to slash the number of U.S. troops in Afghanistan from 8,600 to 4,500, which would be the lowest number of troops stationed there since the very earliest days of the war in Afghanistan. The decision comes under a deal signed with the Taliban in February, where the U.S. agreed to pull all of its troops out of Afghanistan by April 2021 if the Taliban upholds its commitments made in the agreement. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
A stunning stock market debut for Kakao Games as it has already reached the 5th largest stock market cap on the nation's tech-heavy KOSDAQ. The game developing unit of South Korean mobile giant Kakao made its debut on the stock market on Thursday at an offering price of $40 US. But in just 20 minutes after opening, the stock price had already climbed to $52, hitting the daily maximum increase of 30%. This brings the total stock market capitalization to $3.84 billion, overtaking pharmaceutical company Celltrion to take the 5th place on the KOSDAQ.
Good morning. Have a small umbrella handy. 전라남도 and Gyeongsangdo provinces are forecast to see 5 to 20 millimeters of isolated rain throughout the morning, while the capital region and parts of Gangwon-do province could see up to 40 millimeters with a few showers into this afternoon. And once the rain lets up in the afternoon, we can expect brighter and much calmer conditions in most parts, with temperatures hovering similar to yesterday. So Seoul and Jeju will get up to 27 degrees. Daegu, Gyeongju will be a bit warmer at 29 degrees this afternoon. Seoul will see passing showers tomorrow in the late afternoon. Jeju and the East Coast will get another band of rain on Friday. East Coast and southern provinces will have showers on Saturday, though. The capital can expect sunny autumn weather from Saturday and into the whole of next week, but we'll see continuing large temperature differences between the lows and highs, so let's all dress accordingly. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the weather conditions around the world.
That's a wrap for us at the hour on Arirang News. We'll be back with more of the day's headlines at noon Korea time, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching and goodbye.